A year ago, 14-year-old Samira and her family escaped Afghanistan as the Taliban regained control. They were evacuated by the Australian military and came here to start a new life. Now, Samira is on a mission.
That crowd was very scary and very dangerous.
14 years old. Samira is frightened and clinging to her 3 little brothers. Her father is filming as the family struggles through a sea of people, all desperate to flee their homes.
You might have seen it on your TV screen, but it was real things, and I was there with my family. My family were very scared.
On the 15th of August last year, Sunday morning, the Taliban took over Kabul.
Do you remember the sound and what it felt like?
And the gunfires very close to our ear, and tear gas were used, and women and children were falling and crying, and also many children lost their lives under the steps of the crowd.
Samira and her family spent 5 long days trying to get out of Afghanistan. Hip deep in filthy water, crossing a ditch. It was their only hope of escaping as soldiers plucked people to safety. Samira and her family got lucky. Australian soldiers bundled them onto a military plane.
They were very nice to us, and they treated very well, and I couldn't believe it, that how we are alive, and how we get inside the airport.
A year on, but for Samira, it feels like yesterday.
We didn't bring anything with us except our clothes that we weren't and 1 pair of shoes in our feet.
The teen had been studying for an exam.
And I had my history test on that day.
But Samira never made it to school because a relative ran into their home screaming that the Taliban was coming.
He said that I see their flags, and our neighbours were raising their Taliban's flag.
Samira spent the 20-hour journey on that rescue flight to Sydney, reflecting.
Your first memories of Australia, what are they?
I saw that big ocean and the big buildings, and it was very good.
Home is now an apartment in Merrylands in Sydney's west. Samira and her brothers go to school and learn English.
And to get education and the opportunities that I have here.
It's the simple things.
I can play, I can ride my bike safely without any fear of an explosion or suicide attacks.
What about food? What have you tried?
Sushi, and sushi is delicious.
Samira can't help but think of her loved ones and friends left behind.
The situation in Afghanistan got worse and worse.
What I can tell you right now is that it is an incredibly difficult place to be a child.
Sam Mort lives in Afghanistan. August 15 is still raw in her mind too. Her team at UNICEF became more important than ever.
When we went out and about in those first 2 weeks, we were greeted by Afghans, and the first thing they said was, UNICEF is here. You didn't leave, and if UNICEF is here, it's going to be okay.
What does that mean to you?
It means everything. It means a huge sense of responsibility to the children and families in Afghanistan.
How would you describe life in Afghanistan today?
It's important to understand that Afghanistan has long been a very troubled country.
It's seen conflict, insecurity and natural disasters for the past 40 years.
When the Taliban took over and donors paused their funding and global finance institutions stepped back, we saw a spike in food prices. So although there's food in the markets to buy, people weren't able to buy it.
There's poverty.
We have families who are so impoverished that they have to pull their children out of school or exchange their daughters for dowry simply to get money to eat.
People are sick.
We've got spread of preventable disease. It's difficult to imagine in 2022 that measles is spreading across Afghanistan, for example.
And now, in a promise broken by the Taliban, girls in years 7 to 12 are no longer allowed to go to school. Something that breaks Samira's heart. She used to make sure her friends attended school every day until the Taliban moved in.
Knowledge is power, and education is a very important thing. In every country, girls and boys have to be educated for development of that country.
From solar-powered water plants, packaged food, to mobile healthcare teams. Sam says UNICEF will never give up on a country where 90% of the population needs some kind of help.
They are suffering in a crisis not of their making.
I cannot forget the bad situation that is going in Afghanistan, but I'm happy in Australia, and I'm trying to do whatever I can to help my people in Afghanistan and to make for them a better life.